All right, and welcome back to the dumpster fire that is our podcast.
We're here to break the stigma against moms who smoke
Hey, my name is
marijuana.
Paige. Oh, hey, my name is Paige. I'm a 23-year-old single mom of 2 kids and a cat. I run a YouTube channel and I'm a self-taught videographer and editor. I have been smoking medicinally since I was 19, and I smoke now to manage symptoms of borderline personality disorder.
And my name is Carolyne, and I'm a 36-year-old mother of 2 and wife of 1. I've been running my own business for the past 3 years, and I've smoked on and off my entire adult life to manage anxiety and depression.
Before we get started, make sure to follow us on Instagram at Moms Who Smoke Podcast, on Twitter at The Moms Who Smoke, and on Facebook, we are Moms Who Smoke.
And our podcast is also available on YouTube, Spotify, and Anchor. After each episode, we release a survey on SurveyMonkey where you can anonymously leave any questions or comments that you have for us.
And welcome to our 5th episode.
Bye.
I can't believe it, I said that last week.
We're celebrating every week.
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah.
So we have 11 subscribers on YouTube as of today. We
That is
post
so
this like
cool.
4 days from now, but we have 11 subscribers.
Hopefully
and
by then more.
I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
It's growing like crazy.
It's
Thank
cool.
you guys for listening in and I don't know, liking what we're doing, because we like it too.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's fun to see that there are others like us, Paige.
There are. And it's so encouraging to get, we've both been receiving so many messages and like comments, but especially people messaging and saying, hey, like, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing really well.
Yeah.
And that's so reassuring and makes it so much more fun.
Yeah.
So this week we're going to dive into the ins and outs of living life with borderline personality disorder. I just want to state now that the topics that we're diving into may be a trigger for some people. Today we're going to mention mental disorders, suicide, self-harm, eating disorders, drug use, and medication. We may not mention all of those, but just in case.
We might go there. Yeah.
Yeah. And everything I'm saying about this disorder is from my point of view and from the research that I have done as an individual. Please do your own research. You can take what I'm saying, like this is a good look into someone who has BPD, but not all of us are the same. So just keep that in mind.
That's right. Okay, so I have prepared in advance 10 questions to ask for Paige from someone who I had heard of the disorder, but I've never known someone in my life, like in my circle. So I just have 10 questions that I thought were like general questions just to get to know it, like knowledge is power. So
as somebody who has it and is talking about it, I'm not going to talk about the same things that you would probably ask questions about. So I think it's a good way to bounce back and forth.
Cool. All right. So first question, what exactly is borderline personality disorder?
Okay, so BPD, I'm just going to say BPD because that's so much easier, is a complex, I'm reading for this part and then I'll explain.
Yeah, absolutely.
So BPD is a complex, long-lasting, and very serious mental health issue. People with BPD have difficulty regulating or handling their emotions or controlling impulses. We're highly sensitive and can react to situations and small changes in our environment in very intense ways because we feel that intensely about it. I'll get into it. And we're described as living in constant emotional pain, and our reactions are efforts to cope with that pain. So that is the newer definition. It's changed throughout the years. BPD is not very researched. But as a person with BPD, I don't always feel that these textbook definitions fit me, and many others with BPD feel the same. In order to be diagnosed, you must fit at least 5 of the DSM-5 criteria. This allows for there to be so many different combinations of these symptoms that go into a person who has BPD that you can just imagine the amount of different people that there are and the ways that they react and the symptoms they experience are so different, but they all have BPD because you only have to meet 5 of this, I think, 9 criteria. So that plays a part into it and why it's so difficult for people to understand and to diagnose.
I would imagine.
And so for the other thing is BPD is not super researched, and there is no medication for BPD. It is definitely becoming a more researched mental illness, but we still don't know a lot about it or what causes it. We have ideas, but nothing concrete.
Okay.
And we're not treated for BPD, we're treated for the symptoms of BPD.
Okay.
And so BPD is diagnosed when you fit 5 of the following criteria: frantic efforts to avoid real or imagined abandonment, a pattern of unstable and intense interpersonal relationships characterized by extremes between idealization and devaluation. This is known as splitting.
Okay.
So everything is all good or all bad. There's only
Okay.
black and white, there's no middle ground.
Okay.
Identity disturbance, so a markedly or persistently unstable self-image or sense of self. So like my ideals and things that are important in my life change very often. I don't have one religion that I stick to, or
Okay.
one sense of, I don't know, it's all over the place usually.
Okay.
Impulsive behavior in at least 2 areas that are potentially self-damaging. So spending, sex, substance abuse, reckless driving, binge eating. That's kind of self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Recurrent suicidal behaviors, gestures, or threats, or self-harming behavior. So self-harming behavior, suicidal behavior, even just cutting, like that's a huge sign. Emotional instability in reaction to day-to-day events. So intense episodes of sadness, irritability, or anxiety, usually lasting a few hours and only rarely more than a few days. So like I've explained to you, when I wake up in the morning, I'm really, really angry for no reason. And it's just something I've had to learn to cope through.
Mm-hmm.
And that's emotional instability in reaction to day-to-day events. Like waking up is hard.
Yeah.
Chronic feelings of emptiness. You just don't feel anything. I don't know how else to explain that. Inappropriate, intense anger or difficulty controlling anger. Like I said, my mornings. Transient stress-related paranoid ideation or severe dissociative symptoms. So if you know what dissociating is, that's what that is.
Okay.
I would research that because I still don't fully understand dissociation,
Mm-hmm.
although I experience it all the time. And then, yeah, so that's all of them. You have to fit 5 of those in order to be diagnosed with borderline personality disorder.
Okay. And how were you diagnosed?
Okay, so I'm going to give a lot of background information on
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
I would imagine it would be a journey too that you went on to get here.
So BPD, people with BPD, some of it is a chemical imbalance, some of it is genetics, and some of it seems to be linked to childhood trauma.
Okay.
I have not had an easy life, and I'm not going to talk about the details of that. But I really, really struggled, and up until I was 12, I think 12 was the time that it really hit. But I didn't go for mental health help until I was about 14, and I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety. And throughout the next 6 years, I experienced so many symptoms that did relate to depression and anxiety, but also were nothing to do with depression and anxiety and just didn't make sense. Like by the textbook term or by whatever research I did, it didn't make sense that I had depression and anxiety. But I struggled, and I was put on so many different antidepressants, and I was given Ativan and clonazepam, which are essentially tranquilizers and just calm you down.
Mm-hmm.
And they tried so many things, and I was just never okay.
And how old were you at this stage?
14, 15.
Okay.
When I was 15, it got really, really bad. It was like 12, and then I really started to struggle as 14, 15 hit. And then when I was 15, everything got really bad.
Okay.
But I struggled and was in and out of the hospital. At 17, I got pregnant with Dawson. Right after Dawson, I was struggling severely, and nobody but their dad knows that.
Okay.
Up until this point, everybody knows now, but nobody but him knew that. And how
were you
bad
near
I was
family?
struggling.
Like, what was
we
your
were
support?
living with my parents for the first 6 months of Dawson's life.
Okay.
So I was struggling, but I was okay. And I decided, okay, we're going to move. And so we moved, and I was pregnant with Brooklyn because I got pregnant 6 months after. And we moved, and everything was really, really good up until right after Brooklyn was born, and it kind of hit again. Like
An
my birthday
onslaught.
yeah, my birthday after Brooklyn was born, I had a massive breakdown. Like it was, I don't even want to think about it. And again, only their dad knows the details of it. Like it was bad. It was one of my worst breakdowns, but it, I was still seeing the doctor. It was depression. I was getting antidepressants, and it just still wasn't making sense. And it was still like the same struggle that I had been going through now for 6 years, going like, what the hell? They're telling me I have this, but like my brain is not doing that. Like, is there something wrong with me?
Mm-hmm.
And that led to me when their dad joined the military. I He left, and I broke up with him. I probably put him through hell when he was in basic, and I don't know. I broke down. I wasn't okay. I was living at my parents' house. My husband was gone. I had these two kids by myself, and I was doing everything. I was cleaning the house and keeping up with them, but I was also not okay,
Mm-hmm.
and just completely hiding that.
Do you think the postpartum like amplified it?
100%.
Yeah.
And so I still lived with my parents, and then he was going to go for training, and I'm like, that's it. I'm moving. I don't want to live with my parents anymore. I was done. And I left on a whim too,
Mm-hmm.
and moved into one of my old friend's apartments that she had moved out of, and lived there and met this guy, and things were so perfect and so great. And then I went into another spiral. And again, only he really knows the details of that night. Um, but we've talked it through, and like it was the worst mental breakdown, and that's when I did this. And he saw me do this. And if I didn't have him there with me through all of that, that's when a cop came to the door. I got arrested and taken to the hospital because I showed him my neck, and obviously, like, they're not going to leave me in the house.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And he came with me, came to the hospital, and stayed with me. I was there for 24 hours. They put me in a room. Nobody addressed the wound, nothing. I stayed in the room, and they,
What province was this in?
this was in Alberta.
Okay.
In small town. So I'm going to say small town and big town were the two
Okay.
town names. So
Okay.
I was in small town. The cop came and arrested me because he had seen that I did this. And again, that was like one of my worst breakdowns, I consider.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought me to the hospital in small town. And I was in this room in the hospital in small town for 24 hours.
Okay.
And the man that I was dating at the time stayed with me. And nobody looked at my wound until like 24 hours later. And the nurse came in, and she's like, has nobody like
You
cleaned
get
that or
anything for
anything?
pain or anything? Like
No,
nothing?
nothing. And she came in, she was in tears when I told her. And like when who I was dating confirmed that nobody had looked at it or cleaned it, nothing. Like she was sobbing. And then I was like, I kept being told that I wasn't able to go because it was November and freezing and so snowy. We're in northern Alberta. And all of a sudden I was able to go. So it was the kid's dad brought them. I said goodbye. The man that I was dating, I said goodbye, and I was gone. Like he stayed there until I left, like watched me walk through the doors. I was airlifted by helicopter to Big Town,
Okay.
and I stayed in Big Town's ER for 24 hours. Maybe it was actually, I think it was 48 hours.
Okay.
I don't totally remember. And then I was put in their psychiatric ward. And the first night that I stayed there, I sat down with the doctor, and the first conversation we had, he said, you might have depression, you don't have anxiety. And I'm like, knew that. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
next. He's like, you have borderline personality disorder. And I'm like, I cried. I sobbed
Yeah.
because
Someone listened.
someone listened, and there was answers. I wasn't crazy. And like, it was so relieving to be diagnosed. But it took a lot, and many suicide attempts, and going to the same hospital and them turning me away, me going in there saying I need to be admitted and them turning me away. And it took me doing this in order to get the help I needed, which was really, really sad.
That's crazy.
And
It
that
is.
shows a broken system.
Yeah. It does, absolutely. That's why I asked what province, because I was just curious, because I know
Yeah.
like people who have struggled here and have had a hard time getting
Get help.
help. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was how I was diagnosed. I guess that was kind of a lot leading up to it. And there's been a lot since being diagnosed, but that's what led up to the diagnosis and the extremes that I went to in order to get that diagnosis. And
I mean,
I didn't do this in order to get that diagnosis. I did it for an obvious reason.
yeah. Yes,
And
yeah.
it I don't know.
Yeah.
It wasn't a cry for
Well, it
help.
just goes to show how important it is to advocate for yourself. And even though, like, if you feel like something's wrong or you're not being taken seriously, or, you know, like, you have to just keep advocating because you know yourself the best.
100%. And it's like
Yeah.
that in any situation, whether you feel like maybe you have a lump in your boob and you need to go get checked out, and the doctor's like, nah, it's fine, it's fine. You never
If
know.
you
Get
feel,
that checked out because
yeah,
you
and if
never
you,
know.
yes, exactly. Yeah,
And it's the exact same as a mental condition. Like, I don't know.
it's true.
Anyways,
It
yeah.
is true. It's true. All right. So, what medications are used and what has or hasn't worked for you? Because I
So,
would
like,
imagine that it's like a mixture, right? Of like things to get, I don't know.
absolutely.
Okay.
Well, some people think that. So, fun fact: most professionals I've talked to or like seen talk think that weed is really, really, really bad for BPD.
Oh,
On the reverse side, every single person with BPD that I know smokes weed.
okay. Do they say why
So,
what in the
because
weed or like what it
it
does?
messes with your emotions and doesn't
Okay.
allow you to regulate properly. But I'd rather be calm and regulate than like it's just they don't have it and they're trying to give. I don't know. I don't agree with it. Is my highlight.
Okay.
Anyways, um, so I use weed
Okay.
because that's I don't know. It keeps me calm. It's like having a panic attack. I feel it has the same effect of calming me down when I just need 10 seconds to be able to like rethink my thoughts.
Hmm.
Um, there's also no specific medication to treat BPD, like I told you, only the symptoms of it. So I'm currently taking quetiapine, which is also called Seroquel.
Okay.
It's something that they call an antipsychotic, and it's essentially a mood stabilizer, and it makes coping with my emotions easier.
Okay.
Um, and many people are prescribed antipsychotics, antidepressants, or anti-anxiety medications to help manage their symptoms. But I found that the mix of an antidepressant and an antipsychotic was not good for me.
Okay.
Because the point of an antipsychotic is to both bring you up and bring you down when you're struggling, right?
Okay.
So if you get too high, it brings you down. If it gets too low, it brings you up.
Okay.
And then the antidepressant on top of that, its only job is to bring you up. So I would get too much up, and
Okay.
I would just make really stupid decisions and irrational decisions.
Brooklyn's looks oh my goldfish.
Okay, get another pack of goldfish.
Jesus, take the wheel. I'm not
Take
like
it from
I'm
my head, 'cause
I'm
I
not
can't do this on my own.
I'm not religious in any way, nor a country music listener, but I just like that. Jesus, take the damn wheel. Whenever it's too much for me, I just yell that out now and then.
Fucking Carol Baskin.
That too. A bitch, Carol Baskin. I like walk around. You know what the other? I know this is totally off track. Dax will walk around the house and he'll sing "Somebody Come Get Her," and I'm like, oh
She's
my
dancing on the table.
And then I get looks from Pat, kind of like, "Are you fucking kidding me right now? Like our kid is singing TikTok songs."
All of your TikToks with him make me so happy.
Oh my god! Oh, I
Just
have
so
to.
you know,
I
I
have
love
to.
him.
Did you see the edible one the other night?
His face was priceless.
He gave me 100 milligrams in one
Oh,
candy. He popped a candy in my mouth, so I ate it because I trust him like that. And then like
don't do
20,
that.
20 minutes later, like nothing ever hits me that quick. 20 minutes later, I'm walking downstairs and I was like, why do I feel like my arms weigh 100 pounds? And then I was like, oh yeah, I had an edible. And I was like, holy shit, these work fast. I was like, how much did you give me? And I was like, 20, 30. He's like, it was 100. I was like, in one candy? And he's like, yeah. I was like, holy fuck, it just hit. I was like,
Remind me to hang out at your house all summer.
I was so fucked. And then we came upstairs and watched a movie, and it was like I was just lying there and I just kept rubbing my face and my eyes hurt. Like when it hits me really hard, my eyelids like tingle because
Yeah.
they want to be sleeping. Like, why are you? Okay, sorry, off track. Okay, now how do people react when you tell them that you have a personality disorder? Like, what's the reactions that you get?
Um, I think people are taken back, but that's because that's not the first thing that I mention to people
Oh,
generally. Like
that was
it's
going to be
in
my other thing. When do you choose to tell them? Or do you?
it's different with every person. I just kind of read the situation. I do have it like in my Instagram bio, for example, because I follow a lot of people that have BPD and I want that to be shown. But like I don't, it's not one of the first things I tell people. I
Okay.
talk about, having 2 kids and being divorced at 23 and like all these other things first. I have a lot of baggage. That's like one of the fourth or fifth suitcases.
We unpack that later on down the
Yeah.
road.
But I am upfront with people. Like if I'm interested in somebody, I'm going to tell them that right away because I feel
Yeah.
that that's important. But when they see that I'm living like a successful life as a young person, a young mother, a young single mother,
Mm-hmm.
I run a household, I work, like it's
You're
not,
thriving. Yeah.
yeah. Um, they question it. They're like, are you lying? Like,
Oh, like it's not real
mhm.
because you're
and
able
I
to live life. Okay.
and I definitely feel like I haven't faced much criticism of it because I am a very strong willed person and I have a strong personality and I don't put up with shit. So
Mm-hmm.
people know not to talk like that to me.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like I have a lot of criticism because of that, but I feel like it's overlooked by a lot of people and they're like, "Oh yeah, you have that," but like there's no physical ailment, so do
Okay.
you really?
Yeah. Yeah. And invisible.
Hmm.
Uh, is it something that you're going to live with forever? Like, does that just once it's there, or is it, I guess,
So it's not well researched. It's very like I can't buy a book about BPD from 2011 because it'll have outdated information.
yeah, you're right.
So it's not like a lot of other things. But it depends on the information you read because it's still being researched. Some people think that it is a lifelong illness that you will forever have to cope with. Other people believe that you can recover over time. I guess it depends on the severity. But I think it's something that I will face and cope through my entire life because even 2 years ago, I'm not facing the same struggles I am today. So my whole life will be different struggles and different emotional issues,
Hmm.
but it's different each time. Like I'm
Yeah.
always working on something new. It's not, I don't know.
Yeah, that makes
There's
sense.
hope and you get better, but there's also new struggles and you'll get better at those too. So
Hmm.
it's kind of a hard question to answer.
What has been your lowest point, if you want to talk about that?
So definitely leading up to, like I talked about earlier, my suicide attempt.
Okay.
Um, and that was not my only one, but that was the most severe one, I'd say, considering it was done in such a severe way.
Hmm.
Um, but I think that all of my lowest points leading up until that diagnosis was just something was wrong with me, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And that diagnosis was well after both kids were born. Like
Hmm.
they were 2 and 3 at that time.
Hmm.
Um, it something was wrong with me and I didn't have answers and I didn't know how to fix myself or be the
And
person I
that's,
needed to be.
I'm sure that's very terrifying and unsettling, especially as a
Extremely.
young mom. Yeah.
And when everything's so intense all the time, like you're feeling emotions so much, and like they said, it's like you're in constant emotional pain. To have that 24/7 while also trying to raise 2 humans who are now having personalities at 2 and 3 years, I think that's why it all hit at that time. I had
Okay.
also just left their dad, and I was going like,
There's a
I don't
lot.
know, it. Yeah, but I think most of my breakdowns up until that point were because of that. And after that, it's just been like, I don't want to do this forever.
Hmm.
And I think that's what most of my breakdowns now are centered around is I'm tired and I don't want to fight this battle anymore.
Hmm.
And it's just a constant reminder of, okay, but today's going to be a little bit better. And the day after that will be even better than that. And it's a bad moment, not a bad day.
Yeah.
But
That's a good way of thinking about it.
yeah.
And then on the flip side of that, are there any positives? There's silver linings.
I like to think that I'm a depression superhero.
Aw,
I
you
can
need a
call that
cape.
shit out. Yeah,
I'm gonna get you a
exactly.
cape.
Um, I don't believe that you can battle any mental disorder without finding some kind of silver lining.
Hmm.
It's not, that's why all of us have such dark humor. Like, that's how we get through it. But I feel fortunate that I'm so in tune with my emotions and so self-aware.
Yeah, I was just gonna say self-awareness sounds like it's
Yeah.
been a huge help.
And I believe that I'm raising children with a higher level of empathy and understanding of their emotions, which is extremely important to me and will be to them in the future.
Hmm.
And I'm relearning all of these basic coping mechanisms, so it's easy to teach to them. They just see what I'm doing. It's not even necessarily me saying, which I do, like when they're overwhelmed, take a deep breath, then let's
Hmm.
calm down and think about this. But they see me do the same thing, which instills it more. Um, and I'm grateful that I feel emotions so deeply, because when I have times of excitement or like happiness or love or gratitude or euphoria, I feel that so thoroughly. I feel it through my entire body, and nobody else feels it. Well, not nobody else, but a lot of people don't feel it that way. And I'm grateful that I can feel, I don't know, on that much of a high, I
Hmm.
guess, just off of my emotions.
Yeah. Um, what advice can you offer to family members or loved ones of people with BPD that would help them better understand or be a better support for that person?
I'd say ask questions, do research, read books, educate yourself so you have a better understanding of the disease, like you would with anything else. Like, I don't know, what can you do to help somebody with diabetes? Like, what should you avoid, or
That's
an
true.
allergy of something? And it's not just about reading textbook definitions, because all of this textbook crap is great, but that's not talking to the person who has the disorder. So if
Hmm.
they're able to talk to you, talk to them, ask them how they're feeling, and don't get judgy right away about it. Let them explain it and try to put yourself in their shoes, because you're not going to see it the exact same way that you do, and you have to accept that first.
Hmm.
And you also, like, just be empathetic, be understanding, ask us what we need. And if we're not letting you ask us, or aren't replying, or are being cold about it, we probably don't want your help right now. And sometimes space is what we need, because we feel so strongly in every emotion that if you've done something little that might have pissed us off a little bit, like, we're spacing ourselves, or we're giving space, so we're not overreacting. Like, it's for
So
ourselves,
you
not for
can
you.
feel your feelings
Yeah.
and yeah.
And I don't know, I remember that we're trying, and it's so hard to cope through this every day. And appreciate that we do love a little harder, and that we do, I don't know, are that much more passionate and have that much more energy, because we feel that hard about things. Like,
Hmm.
uh,
I like that.
yeah.
I like that.
If you think that someone you know might display symptoms of BPD, or you might display symptoms of BPD, or are struggling with things that we've talked about, don't diagnose yourself, but educate yourself, because education does no harm.
Hmm.
And when you have the ability to go in and talk to a professional, they will give you those answers.
Hmm.
But educating yourself does no harm, as long as you're not obsessing over it. And if you do think that you fit some or all of those, like, signs and symptoms in the 5 DSMs, or DSM-5, sorry, be cautious of that. Like, maybe that's your answer. And I remember researching BPD when I was younger, because I felt that somebody close in my life to me had it.
Okay.
I was curious, and when I pulled up the webpage and read the DSM-5, it just I was like, oh, this is a checklist of my life.
Oh no.
And yeah, so that's how I found out, was by doing my own research. So if you're
Hmm.
struggling or something's going on, like, there's nothing wrong with you. Don't think there's something wrong with you, because there's probably, maybe you're going through a stress, or maybe there's a chemical imbalance, or maybe you just need somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, don't invalidate your feelings.
Hmm.
Make sure that you're taking care of yourself. And I think that also having BPD makes me more in tune with that, because when I'm off, I'm so off, or I feel so off, because everything's so intense.
Yeah.
And I've noticed, like, the little tiny things that throw me off. So just be aware.
Be self-aware. Yeah. And advocate for yourself. The more you know. And then when you walk into the doctor's office and you have the information and you
Hmm.
present it to them, then they have to help you. Like they have to help eliminate that. If that's not it, then eliminate it and let's figure out what it is.
And I think that we come across to a lot of people as manipulative,
Okay.
when in reality we're just, like, we have these emotional reactions, and then it's like I always call it emotional whiplash.
Okay.
I feel like I've gone, oh, and then right back.
Yeah. Ooh. What?
But literally like that. Like, that's how intense it is.
Yeah.
And like, give me a minute. Like, if I'm just freaked out, give me a second, because I'm just as mad that I freaked out as you are that I freaked out.
Yeah.
Or like, you think that I'm not, you think I'm crazy and I'm overreacting to this. Imagine me and my body right now going, what the fuck, Pedro? Shut this up. What are you doing? Stop it. Calm down. Okay. We're almost there.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I understand how I come across. And I come across as crazy. And that's the problem.
I don't, to me, you don't, just so you know.
Okay. Well, I feel like as a person who has the disorder talking about it, I sound insane.
Oh, well, you don't. And it's good that knowledge, again, like knowledge is power. And I find people a lot of the times like recoil, or not recoil, but you know what I mean? Like, don't like something or have an idea about something because they just don't know about it. And they just have their own idea in their head. And the more you read about stuff and understand or talk about stuff like we're doing, then
it makes a difference.
Everyone can just love each other and understand and be empathetic and help each other, lift each other up instead of.
Well, that's what, and like, it's the same thing as, I don't know, talking about like pride or mental health or weed or all of these like stigmatized subjects. If we just talk about them a little more, I bet you that all these people that are actually struggling are going to come out and go, oh my God, like, this helped me so much. And it's going to become normalized that as soon as these problems come up, we're going to be like, this is what's wrong. This is how we can help.
Yeah. As opposed to.
And it's not necessarily a medication or something like.
Yeah, everybody's different, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I like this week's episode. It was good. What are you eating?
Blackberries and raspberries.
Oh my God, it looks so good.
I'll throw some up to your window.
Okay. Again, we need that tube. I used to work in the hospital, and they have you ever worked in the hospital? Okay. Well, they have, in order to get like forms and stuff, like from departments.
The shoot tubes. Oh my God.
The vacuum. You would put like your documents in, and then you push the buttons and then sent it off.
Yeah.
I mean, it terrified me because they're loud and they're like very intimidating. But yeah, we need one of those systems set up in our house so we could just shoot stuff back and forth.
That'd be sick. I'm down. You think the landlords would mind?
Maybe. Maybe not. What they don't know won't hurt them, right?
So we should also do weekly check-ins. So like, after me talking for all this time, how are you?
The week was good. It was very uneventful. Just worked and hung out, and we've been doing like a Disney movie every night before bed. That's our routine. We don't really have a routine. The only thing that we stick to every day is at 7:00 a Disney movie goes on. And we just all like pile into the king size bed and watch a Disney movie. And it's funny because I've noticed that my youngest son, is extremely sensitive to the point where he's like cried through like 3 movies at like 3 different parts. He'll like get a tear. Yeah. And then he'll look up at me and be like, it's really sad, eh, Mom? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. You're like me. I cry at like commercials. If a commercial is emotional enough, I will shed a tear. So
Dawson's the same way.
So it's just like, oh, that's so cute. Sorry, dude. That's for me.
Oh, that's so cute though. And that's so good for him.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, maybe not lots of crying, but like,
no, but it's good to be and he's very empathetic. Both of the boys are. They're very, very empathetic boys. So
he made my day when he poked his head out and he's like, hey, Paige. And I'm like, oh, I have something for you. Just one sec.
Oh yeah, we were having a picnic. We had a picnic yesterday, and then it was funny because I couldn't get back up off the ground. I was like, "You actually want to sit on the ground?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, can I just sit in like the bench on the deck?" And he was like, "No, on the ground." I was like, "All right, well, I'm not gonna be able to get back up," and he had to help me. He's like, "I'll help you, Mom. It's okay." I was like, "Thanks." Get my walker.
Yeah. Oh man, that's awesome.
How's your week been?
It's been good, I think. Yeah. Oh, well, not really. I guess that's a lie. The kids, we recorded on Wednesday and it's Sunday. So the kids went, I don't know if I should say this, but went to their grandparents on Friday night. And as soon as they left, I just like broke down.
Oh, yeah, you had a hard time. Yeah.
And I haven't done that in a long time. I don't know what happened, but like it
You
was
need to
not
get
good.
some feelings out.
And then I went grocery shopping, and then I came home and I spent all night in bed surrounded by my bong, my Switch, my computer, and my phone, and like snacks
I was just gonna say,
intermittently.
tell me snacks are in there.
Not for like 4 hours though. It took me
Really?
like 4 hours to convince
Oh.
myself to get food, but it was bad. And then yesterday was just I was out of it yesterday. Yeah, but today's better. Like
Good. We're allowed to
there's
have
just
those days.
quarantine's getting to me. It's
Yeah,
for
it
to be
is. It's
over.
hard. I know I've noticed, especially today, Dax has been extremely emotional. Like he's just he asks to do something. Like he wants us to play with him. And we play with him, but it's like I can't all the time. So I just told him I needed a break for a minute. And then it was like, no one ever plays with me. Like it was one of those. And it's like, I
Yeah,
get it, bud. I get it. This is hard.
no, it's difficult. And like especially with them seeing each other too. Like
Yeah, it's almost a tease, like, because then it's like they can't, like, same thing yesterday. My friend stopped by and her kid stayed in the car and he just stood
yeah,
on the stump and they like played I Spy through the car windows, which is nice. But then at the same time, at one point, I heard them, like, they were talking and I was talking to my friend and they were talking and I overheard Dax was like, when the virus goes away and we're allowed to go to people's houses again, do you guys want to go to the park with me? And they were like making a play date for like after like post
Brooklyn
virus.
Brooklyn woke up this morning and she's like, the corona's over.
Oh, I wish there was a goddamn end date on
No,
it.
it's not. I don't want to do it anymore.
It was kind of scary. Like today I went out to do groceries and there was a shit ton of people out just like biking, walking in the stores, driving. Like lately I haven't been seeing a lot of cars on the road, but today there was I think 10 cars ahead of me and like we live in a small town in the middle of nowhere. So like it was like rush hour
Oh,
in
man.
the downtown Ottawa. It was
Yeah.
very strange. I was like, what's going on? I hope this doesn't mean that like more people are gonna get sick now after this. I don't know. It's weird. Weird times we're living
And
in.
they just canceled school until May 31st.
Yeah, I kind of feel like at this point, although Pat said that
There's
they
no
might
school.
um like start it back up but do school like throughout the summer months instead to kind of keep them caught up. I don't know how much that like I kind of feel like
I wouldn't.
I don't know.
I don't know if I should say this on. No.
I
That
know
would be
what you're
cool if they
thinking
had to
though.
be in school all
I know
summer.
what you're thinking. Yeah.
They did miss out on quite a bit, so
Hmm.
although it is summer vacation, so
Mm.
I'm not on either side.
That's right, you're neutral.
Happy with whatever.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So we'll see how it goes, I guess. But it's just very strange times. And it's like, I don't know, you want to feel comfortable. Like I was saying last week, I want to settle into this new normal, but it's not a permanent new normal. So I don't want to settle. There's like part of me that's like fighting it, and then another part of me that's trying to settle. And, like
Mm-hmm.
it's a constant struggle. So it's like, I don't know. I go with the flow.
Going with the flow, man.
I mean, I'm laid
Weed
back
helps.
generally. So, yes, exactly. So,
Oh yeah, this is enough for me. How long are we at right now?
I think we're about 40 minutes in. It doesn't show me the number, but we started a little bit after 3. I think it was like 10 after 3.
Okay. Um, yeah. Well,
That was another week under our belts. Look at us, episode 5, episode 6 coming in hot.
that was a lot of emotional baggage. If you're still here, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for
Comment a sobbing emoji
yes. If
down
you're still
below
here, yeah.
if you've listened to this point.
And if you have any questions that I didn't ask, or that something Paige didn't cover that you want to ask, and you can go ahead and do that. And again, it's either if you want to do it anonymously through the Survey Monkey, you can do that. We're always checking it, or you can just put it in the comments.
I should check it right now. Just to,
Just for fun.
I'm waiting for our first hate comment through here.
I'm
I'm really excited. Somebody leave me a hate comment. Like, I'll
yeah.
read
I
it.
know. Come on, we could do a whole episode on reading hate comments.
Leave the worst possible
Did you
comments you
watch?
can below.
The nastier, the better. No.
Well,
Jeffree Star has a new. Did you see his new video? Watching TikToks about him. Yeah.
him and Nate. He was so chill.
I know. Yeah.
It's not loading. Survey. Oh, server.
What should we call this episode? The DL on BPD? No.
We're not going to let you name episodes from now on.
I told you.
I'm going to have to
from
revoke
the jump
your privileges.
that I am not clever in that sense.
Okay, this is one survey. I need my other survey.
Oh my God, I'm tired.
No responses. Nobody has questions for us.
Crickets in the survey department.
We want to read your hate, guys. Please.
I'll read anything. Hate, questions, and
nice
if it's
things.
like, even if you think it's a stupid question, ask it. No one's gonna know it was you asking, and we'll read it out on your behalf. And there is no stupid questions, really.
Or you can like leave a little note in there and just say like, make it funny in conversation or something. I can be like, no, some people have asked, like think this, and nobody will even know that you asked.
We're here to serve you, people.
We're here. That's what you just said. I'm having a hard time. I unloaded a lot of emotional baggage, and I appreciate anybody who listened today, because
we appreciate you guys.
I don't normally endorse wine, but I might need a wine after this. Definitely a bong or two.
All right. So how do we end this again? I always ask
Just
this.
in a complete disaster, like we always do, and it goes to. Except I said that last time, so I can't do that this time. And this has been our dumpster fire.
Thanks for watching and listening.
And we will see you probably next week. I mean, we're doing pretty well so far.
Yeah. We've been on time.
All right.
So.